In this video, it's part 2 of our custom center console build for our 1955 Chevy truck. In part 1, we showed you how we got our basic shape and structure by making templates and transferring it to MDF. We also showed viewers a neat trick on how to curve that MDF wood in and make a radius on itself. And today we're gonna continue on with part 2 of that custom center console build. So if you guys are ready, let's get it. What's up everyone and welcome back to In the Shop TV. My name is Mike, that's my 1955 Chevy truck. We've been working on it for about 2 years now. And for all you guys that have already been here following along on this journey, welcome back. In the last episode, we got kind of the basic shape of the center console, figured out what we wanted to look like, and got it to kind of lay nice inside the truck and meet the contours that we were looking for. We also put a nice radius bend in the back end of it where it's gonna meet our knee. So it kind of gives it a nice look and also is not gonna have kind of a sharp corner where your leg's gonna hit it. Today we're just gonna work and see how much we can get done, but I really wanna focus on having baffles where our doubled in radio is gonna go. Our shifter is here, so we're gonna start playing with that and see how it's gonna mount in there. Will it even fit? We'll find out in a second. I wanna build kind of a backstop for our access doors on the sides. Where we formed that radius on the center console is also a weak point, so we're gonna work on shoring that up today, and I'll show you how we're gonna do that. And we'll just try to get as much done as we can, who knows? All right, let's do this. So I think what I would do is I'm gonna use some of these little pieces of white wood. I'm gonna put them on the inside of the console, overlapping the opening a little bit where the access panel is gonna be, so the access panel has something to rest up against. Our construction adhesive has had plenty of time to set up. Right now it's nice and firm, but I'm not going to rely on that alone. I'm going to go ahead and drill some holes and through bolt all these pieces into the center console itself, just for peace of mind. So I used some 6/32 screws. I used a little bit of an oversized washer in the back. It was actually number 8 because I just wanted a little bit more bite and surface area to hold these back. And then I did recess these holes a little bit so the screws will sink in there because we're gonna go ahead and put some filler over these holes so when we have our covering, everything lays nice and smooth and we don't see any fasteners. Time for a commercial break, and that's because I have a question for you guys. I know this is a car-centric channel. We're focusing on the 55 Chevy truck build, but I recently bought a motorcycle. Nothing crazy, just a really cool, good running, dependable bike. But I really got the itch to kind of do the bobber thing and just chop it up and totally customize it. If you guys are into that, I have no problem filming it with you guys and showing you guys what we're doing and bringing you along. If you don't want to, I'm still just gonna do it and I just won't film it. So kind of up to you guys. You wanna see me bobberize this thing and chop it up? Let me turn you around, I'll show you the bike real quick. Let me know what you guys think, leave it in the comments. You wanna see a bike build or skip it? So it's a 750cc Honda Shadow, it's their Aero model. But you guys think pretty cool, right? I don't know, I'm into it, man. To tell you the truth, I'm way more into the idea of chopping it up and customizing and building it than I am actually into riding it. Anyway, guys, totally up to you. I kind of need to see somewhat of a response if you guys want to see this build, because if I get like 5 comments, like, yeah, build it. I don't know if 5 viewers is worth me building this thing and taking viewers away from the truck. But if you guys are really into it, let me know in the comments, and we'll get some footage on it. All right, back to the center console. So I've got kind of a rough draft traced out on our shifter base right here. It's actually inverted. As you notice, there's more of a dramatic curve on this side than that side. And I just traced it on the bottom, so it's actually gonna be like that when we cut it out. So I made another template for our shifter base right here. Go ahead and get that cut out. All right, so I've got our double den radio plate cut out to be a nice snug fit. Let's see how our radio fits in here. And we are bottomed out. Nice. I like it. All right, so I drilled 2 pilot holes on our shifter plate here, and this is gonna be kind of a rough opening. I'm making it oversized because the shifter's not installed in the truck yet, so I wanna have some wiggle room from side to side. I can always open this up more if I need to, but making it oversized is not a big deal because you gotta remember, if you have a shift boot cover over here, it's gonna be approximately 4 by 5 inches. So definitely not gonna have room for a cup holder, but that's fine with me. What I might do is I might end up putting my air conditioning control right here. That's gonna not happen for a little while. These 2 panels are gonna be made to be removable, and then there'll be a bezel cover over the whole thing, kind of like an overlay that we can also remove. I wanted to make all this removable on top so that if we did have to access in here without going through the side, if we needed more room, we could always do that. Also, our E38 computer is mounted back there, so just taking the radio out, we might not have enough room to get our arm and a drill in there or something like that. So by making all this removable, it's just the best way to make sure that I can access whatever I need to access. I've taken out the faceplates for the radio and for the shifter. And what I want to do now is focus on these curve cuts that we made in the last episode. This is inherently a weak point, so I'm going to strengthen this up, even though it doesn't seem to move and it seems pretty rigid. I mean, one good shot with your knee, you can wind up getting a crack right through there, and we don't want that. Now, in the last video about this thing, you guys left a lot of really good comments about how we should strengthen that up. And that's one thing I love about this channel, man, is you guys, you're awesome viewers. But what I decided ultimately to do is to fiberglass it. So this is just your cheapo auto parts store garden variety fiberglass repair kit. At one-stop shopping, it comes with everything you need. It's got the resin, the hardener, the plastic spreader, the cloth. It even gives you like a little tray and a mixing stick and all that type of stuff. I'm not usually a fan for those all-in-one kits from the big box auto parts stores, but I think for this project, this is exactly perfect for what we need to do. So you want to mix little batches of this stuff at a time, just where you're going to need. If you need more, you can always mix it more, but if you mix up too much, then you got to discard it. So I'm going to actually paint this stuff on first before I stick my mat in place. All right, so it's the next day and our fiberglass is really stiffened up, nice and solid. And there's just a tiniest bit of flexion here, which I actually like. That's why I went with fiberglass, because, if we're resting our leg on this or whatever, you do want it to be able to flex without cracking. If I had a more of a solid filler in here, I would be worried about that happening a little bit more, but it probably wouldn't be an issue. But I don't know. I like the idea of the fiberglass because it can flex while still remaining super strong. Just gonna go ahead and throw a quick coat of spray paint on this. Just for right now, we're gonna go ahead and put some filler on this, smooth out all these holes, fill them in, and the black paint will just kind of give me a reference of when I've gone too far and where to sand. So as you can see, I got it all painted up. So I started thinking about it, and when you do upholstery or you upholster anything in a vehicle, it usually has a layer of foam on the back of it. So I'm thinking to myself, if I put foam on this piece, I really don't have to mess with body filler at all, because I'm not gonna have any screw holes or anything to fill or anything that's gonna show up through the foam and through the upholstery itself. So I went down to the upholstery shop, bought some foam, got some upholstery, took it inside and started working on it. I laid out some foam on it first. I'm I'm using what's called closed cell sew foam. Basically, I just kind of wrapped the whole thing in it, used some headlining glue, slapped it on there, cut it and trimmed it to fit. Now, I asked my awesome wife if she would help me sew up some upholstery for it. We don't really have the setup to do upholstery here. She has like a regular sewing machine. And when you do leathers and vinyls and stuff like that, you really need a really heavy duty machine that's meant for upholstery. But she was up for the challenge anyway, and we got some material. She made a template out of paper and kind of like traced out the whole entire console, decided how many pieces she wanted to use to sew it all together and where the seams were gonna be. And we had a really cool idea of kind of putting a double seam or a French seam on the rails or the top of the console where you're gonna see when you're looking down, which I think is gonna look really cool. Kind of slipped it over the foam, made sure everything fit, which it did, and I pulled on it in certain places to make sure that once we staple it and glue it, it wouldn't be blousy anywhere, it would just look nice and tight and like uniform. So I gave it back to her, she finished stitching it up, and the hard part, I guess, was, you know, she did a really good job, it looks awesome, but when I started gluing it and pulling it down, I was trying to do it in little areas one at a time so that I didn't get glue all over the whole thing and have it bind up on me, but it was still getting stuck everywhere. Pieces of the upholstery were getting stuck to itself, getting stuck to the foam. I had to take it off a bunch of times and try to manipulate it, and the glue that I was using, I guess, I don't know if it's a good thing or bad thing, but it was just sticking really, really well to everything, so it kind of gave me a hard time. But I finally got it situated, glued it all down, it was holding really good, so I started stretching it and putting some staples in it. Next, I basically just kind of trimmed off the excess because I made it oversized, and then I cut the inside where those holes are going to be, those access panels are going to be, and started pulling that down and stapling that, which really made everything smooth out a lot more. So I got it all done, and I gotta say, I really, really love how it came out. I had no intention of having her stitch upholstery and putting that French seam on the top and around that. I was planning on just taking that kind of leather material and stretching it over it and pulling it and pulling it and stapling it until I got it nice and tight, and it would just kind of like be just that black leather material all over it. But having those, you know, that French stitch or that French seam on the top of it, man, it really took it to a whole other level, and I'm super grateful for her for doing that for me. I think it came out good. No, it's not pro-grade upholstery. I mean, this is our first time trying upholstery. I watched about 1 million YouTube videos on it myself. But for what we were able to do and not having the proper equipment and everything, I think it looks absolutely fantastic. So I brought it over here, put it in the car. Let me get you guys turned around, I'll show you how it looks. What do you guys think? Not too bad, huh? I'm digging it. We gotta get the center console finished. I really wanna do something cool and super slick looking for that kind of bezel or that faceplate on it, but we also need to focus on the shifter because that's gotta line up just right with the plate that we put on top of the console. So I think we're gonna have to get our shifter in place, and that's gonna take kind of a priority and get it all hooked up to the transmission to make sure it's all adjusted properly. And the weather's really starting to get nice now, so I wanna get cranking again up on the body of this truck and start painting some panels and get it kind of looking like a truck. Hit that like button, it really helps out the channel more than you think. Leave me a comment, I try to answer every single one of you guys. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and until next time, I'll see you in the shop.